Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're gonna talk about one of the most iconic cocktails out there, the Hurricane. But before we dive into the recipe, I was wondering, do any of you guys know the history behind this famous drink? Maybe you've had one at a bar or a party, but do you know where it came from? Well, that's a story for another time, but I highly recommend looking it up because it's actually pretty interesting. So, you want to make a classic Hurricane cocktail at home, just like the ones you get at a fancy bar in the French Quarter. It's not as difficult as you might think, but it does require a bit of finesse, especially when it comes to balancing those sweet and sour flavors. One of the biggest challenges when making a Hurricane is finding that perfect balance between sweet and sour. You don't want it to be too sugary, but you also don't want it to be too tart. It's all about finding that middle ground, and it can take a little bit of experimentation to get it just right. I mean, think about it, you're dealing with rum, passion fruit juice, orange juice, and lime juice, all of which have pretty strong flavor profiles. So, it's all about finding that harmony between them. Another thing to keep in mind is that everyone's taste is different, so what might be perfect for me might not be perfect for you. That's why it's so important to taste as you go and make adjustments accordingly. And finally, don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. I mean, that's the beauty of mixology, right? It's all about creativity and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. When it comes to ingredients, you're gonna need a few things. First, you're gonna need some good quality rum. I like to use a dark rum because it gives the drink a richer, more complex flavor. You'll also need some passion fruit juice, which can be a bit tricky to find depending on where you live. I like to use a combination of passion fruit puree and pineapple juice to get that same flavor. Then you'll need some orange juice, lime juice, and a bit of simple syrup to sweeten things up. And finally, you'll need some grenadine for that classic Hurricane flavor. It might seem like a lot of ingredients, but trust me, it's worth it. Now, let's talk about the proportions of each ingredient. This is where things can get a bit tricky, because again, it's all about finding that balance. I like to use about 1.5 ounces of rum, half an ounce of passion fruit juice, half an ounce of orange juice, and 1/4 ounce of lime juice. Then I add 1/4 ounce of simple syrup and a dash of grenadine. It might not seem like a lot of ingredients, but trust me, it's enough to get that classic Hurricane flavor. And remember, the key is to taste as you go and make adjustments accordingly. Don't be afraid to add a bit more of this or that until you find that perfect balance. Okay, so you've got all your ingredients, now it's time to mix and shake things up. I like to add all the ingredients to a shaker filled with ice, then shake it vigorously for about 10 to 15 seconds. This helps to combine all the flavors and gives the drink a nice, smooth texture. Then, I strain it into a glass filled with ice, and garnish it with a bit of orange peel and a cherry. It's a classic look, but it's also super easy to customize to your own taste. So, to recap, making a Hurricane cocktail is all about finding that balance between sweet and sour flavors, using the right proportions of ingredients, and mixing it all up with a bit of flair. It might seem like a lot to take in, but trust me, it's worth it. The end result is a drink that's both refreshing and unique, with a flavor profile that's unlike anything else out there. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're feeling adventurous, be sure to give this recipe a try and let me know how it turns out in the comments section. I'd love to hear about your experiences and see how you put your own spin on this classic cocktail. Happy mixing!